Socrates was a great scholar of Athens. He was born in 1469 in home of a stonecutter, Sparhenus. The name of his mother was Ferente, who was a midwife in Athens. Physically, he was better looking, but from point of view of wisdom, he had no match at that time. He was in favor of thoughts of Sophists. He agreed with their reasoning. He said, conceptions of right must be subjected to the security of individual reasoning and not rest upon religion or upon traditional customs. Socrates aimed at the moral rectification of man. He has his own special way of teaching by which he educated and taught with the help of questions. He wanted to produce a professional group consisting of leaders of moral and politics who should represent the wise aristocracy. He preferred wisdom to rice. He thought democracy impracticable. He often said that he knew one thing, that he was and that was that he knew nothing. He thought that virtue is knowledge. He thought the thought of Socrates about knowledge are as knowledge and virtue have same meaning. The concept of beauty is impossible without knowledge because knowledge is beauty. The basis of knowledge should be solid. The real knowledge is that brightens human minds. Such search of truth is real knowledge. Real knowledge can only be searched when man recognizes himself. Ignorance is root of all vices. Before Socrates, the concept of virtue was that whatever has been said by forefathers should be accepted as true. But Socrates said that reality must be tested on touchstones of wisdom. These non-traditional talks were liked by young people, and they heard these with great attention and interest. The authorities blamed Socrates of misleading the youth. He was arrested on this charge, in this change, and was tried to be refused to go back to these theories, his theories and truth. Addressing the court, he said, "Member of jury, I knew well that witnesses against me have produced witnesses beautifully. In fact, I am myself was worried how beautifully the false accusations were coined against me. The fact is that they did not say even a word of truth. They have blamed me that the court should not be cheated by me because I am a liar, treacherous, and cunning person. Respected members of jury, these allegations are not based on truth. If to talk about truth is cunningness, then I am certainly a cunning man because my talk is based on truth and justice. If you think me a liar, punish me, and if you think my if you think that a person who has a ting of truth in his heart will become afraid of death, you are certainly mistaken. I do not care for death. What I care for is that I am in the right or wrong. A truth-loving man will like to die an honorable death than to lead a life of disgrace. Socrates adopted the way of truth, and as a result of that, he was put to death. He was asked to drink a cup of poison. His friends suggested him to run away, but Socrates refused the suggestion and drank that cup of poison. Socrates met the truth eternal by preferring honorable life to life of disgrace for the sake of truth only. According to the Encyclopedia of Macmillan, Socrates divided philosophy from physical speculations of pre-Socrates towards ethics. His instance marked the beginning of logic. Socrates' method of teaching was by eliciting answers from intolerators of reveal inconsistencies in accepted opinions, a method particularly effective against the Sophists. His resolute stance against tyranny, whether exercised by the mob oligarchy, brought about his trial on charges of atheism and corrupting the youth, and he was condemned to die by drinking hemlock. Plato's Phaedo is an eloquent account of his death. According to Socrates, knowledge was of two kinds: one based on faith, second based on real knowledge. He holds that faith is not constant and is changeable, and knowledge based on it is not constant. In contrast to this, real knowledge is based on strong foundations and it shows scientific reality and is therefore not changeable. The truth based on real knowledge is also constant. A truth based on principles explains some principles. With its help, knowledge can be given that is eternal and universal. Moral principles can be explained and their practical application is possible. In this way, knowledge of virtue can be given and it can be promulgated. According to Socrates, knowledge separate virtue. In fact, virtue is knowledge because the existence of virtue is not possible without knowledge. A skilled man does not need tools only. Knowledge teaches him the use of tools. It is only knowledge that tells us the ways of using health and wealth in a correct manner and also tells how to get success. It is only wisdom that makes things good. Socrates said that man has basically social trends and states do important work. Uh, According to him, moral code can be found for human beings through general laws, traditions, and customs. Socrates had great respect for law. He held that without law, the concept of justice is impossible. According to him, law was above both rulers and public. Law is in fact a written agreement for doing or not doing anything. In 1939 BC, a council of 500 members tried Socrates on the charge of vitiating the morals of youth, an act of traitorship, and gave him death sentence. Socrates refused to leave his stand by saying, "As long as I breathe, I will preach truth. I will not bring any change in my attitude. For this I might have to sacrifice my 1,000 lives." Socrates thought his self better than law, wisdom better than convention, and truth better than politics. He held the view that there are a close and deep relationship between politics and ethics. The way he sacrificed his life for the principles and ethics proved that an individual should decide right or wrong through his own wisdom, and in that matter he should consent to his self. According to Socrates, the very wisdom of an individual was the last appellate court. Agreeing with individual wisdom and oneself, an individual should act upon laws of state and decisions of court. The importance of Socrates is due to this, that he did not compromise on principles, and secondly, he told his pupils about the reality of truth. In addition, he had an individual way of teaching much better than those of others. Socrates also held the view that an individual should accept punishment given by the state. A.M. Adams, in his book Plato's Moral and Ethical Aims, writes, Socrates, like Hobbes, attained the encompassing authority and irresponsibility of ruling power. In short, this is the fact that Socrates was a great thinker. He founded logic by his own individual method of teaching. He held truth as knowledge, differentiated between politics and ethics, and at the most he embraced death for the sake of truth, and made himself a shining star in the heaven knowledge and wisdom.